All right, boys and girls, good afternoon. Welcome to day 2 of Mystery Ingredients. I hope you're enjoying your mystery, whichever one you are reading right now. I hope you've been able to find some of those important ingredients that we talked about last time, the characters that are important to a mystery, what your setting is, and what type of plot your mystery has. So I'm excited to see what each of you have. Today, we're going to go ahead and get started with the next few ingredients to a good mystery. So let me go ahead and open that up. And the first thing that we're going to be talking about today is a clue. Clues are hints that help the reader and or the detective solve the mystery. Clues can be things that people say, things that people do, or objects that are found. For example, in my story from our last time meeting where I came home and my ice cream the container was empty, it was in the trash, and I was trying to figure out who ate it. Mr. Brennan was a witness and saw that there was chocolate around Nicholas's face that he went to wash off. That chocolate would be a clue to the possibility that he could be the one who committed the crime. Doesn't mean he is, but he could have been. It can also sometimes be things that people say or do. Those can be clues as well, not necessarily something that you can touch. However, sometimes our clues can be red herrings. Red herrings are a distraction or a false clue that lead you, the reader, and or the detective off track. So let me give you an example. The chocolate around Nicholas's mouth may have actually have been a red herring because later on, as I was doing some more detective work, I found an empty Kit Kat wrapper, and Nicholas told me that he ate the entire Kit Kat. So the chocolate on his mouth was from the Kit Kat. Okay, so that makes the clue that he had chocolate on his mouth now a red herring. It was a false clue. At first, I thought it had to do with the crime of the ice cream being stolen, but now I know it was really just the Kit Kat. So it would lead me in the wrong direction, thinking that Nicholas was, in fact, our criminal. A red herring often makes it more difficult to solve the mystery. This is what makes a mystery so good. This is why, as you read a really good mystery novel, you'll start to think it's one person or one character that did the crime. And then as the story goes on, you change your mind and you think, oh no, it actually has to be this somebody else. Because the red herrings are what keep you on the edge of your seat and keep you in suspense of what could possibly have happened and who did it. Which leads us to our next word. We've talked about this a couple times the last time we were together, but it's the word suspense. Suspense is when you are uncertain or doubtful of what will happen next. This is that on the edge of your seat feeling that a reader gets for a really good mystery book. This is when you're sitting there and you're thinking, oh, could he have done it? I don't know if he did it. What do you think's going to happen next? I don't know what's going to happen next. It's the feeling that the reader gets as they're reading the book. This is one of my favorite parts about a mystery is that feeling of it causes some excitement in me. It makes me want to be the detective and think I'm smarter and think I figured it out. I love this part. Now, there's also some scary suspense if you're reading a scary novel. Mrs. Brennan is not a fan of that kind of suspense. I don't like to be scared on the edge of my seat, wondering what's going to happen next. But I do like to be excited on the edge of my seat, wondering what's going to happen next, which is why mystery novels are my favorite. Our next vocabulary word is the word motive. This is something that causes a person to act the way they do. Okay, so I have to tell you that if this actually happened, if my ice cream was missing, I know it could not have been Mr. Brennan because Mr. Brennan has no motive. He hates chocolate ice cream. His favorite ice cream, as a matter of fact, is just plain vanilla ice cream. I don't understand it myself, but it is true. Plain vanilla ice cream is his favorite. He doesn't like chocolate ice cream at all. So he has no motive or reason to have eaten my ice cream. Now, I know that the dogs and I know that Nicholas all love ice cream. The dogs don't care what flavor it is, and Nicholas loves chocolate ice cream. So Nicholas and the dogs had a motive, a reason to do the crime, to commit the crime. Whereas Mr. Brennan, no motive at all. No reason to have committed the crime. Here there are some other important vocabulary words. One of them is alibi. An alibi is an excuse that the suspect uses to show that he or she was somewhere other than the scene of the crime when the crime was committed. So if Mr. Brennan told me, Mrs. Brennan, I left 8 o'clock in the morning. I had to go run some errands and I didn't come back till 10 minutes ago. So I have an alibi. I wasn't here in the time frame that somebody ate your ice cream and threw away the container. He has an alibi, an excuse of somewhere else he was during the time of the crime. Nicholas does not have an alibi. His car was in the garage the whole time, blocked in by another car, and he could not get out to go anywhere. He was home all day. So he doesn't have an alibi anywhere else he could have been during the crime. And then, of course, a crime is an act that is against the law. Now, a lot of times in children's books and in the books that I read, the crimes are not necessarily against the law. Now, stealing is against the law, but I have a hard time believing I'd be able to call the police over to my house and have someone arrested for eating my ice cream. Neither would I want to have that happen. So it's not always something that the law would get involved for, but sometimes it is. And then evidence is just like a clue. Evidence is another word for a clue, something that helps prove who committed the crime. So since it's another word for a clue, it can be an object, something that you can touch, like a footprint or a missing earring, or it could be something that the criminal said or did that was evidence to that fact that they committed the crime. All right, you've got some new vocabulary words to get started on, some new ideas. I want you to make sure that as you're continuing to read your mystery book, that you add any of these elements that you see from your book in the Google Doc attached to this assignment. I can't wait to find out what's going on in your book and hear about what you're encountering as you're reading mysteries, and I hope that you're loving it as much as I do.